What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Mouse Clicks and Joysticks. I need to figure out a new name because that name's still like too long after a long ass week where I've been frustrated and pissed off in every occasion. Anyway, I'm here with my man Joysticks. Say what's up to people if you are able to, because
what's going on? By
the way, I'm putting the disclaimer out now, people. I did not force this man to do this, so if he dies on stream, it is because he decided to be a trooper and do this show. Don't come for me, Mrs. Mama Eurostrix, because I ain't gonna see your boy.
She wouldn't even see you. Good. Well, what happened? Don't worry about it. No, I'm good. I'm good.
My information if it happened.
I'm good, everybody. I guess gotta. We'll go with a combination of allergies and life. So I might have to mute myself to clear my throat a few times, and I'll try to be good about that.
Okay, just hold on, just for about an hour and a half or two. Don't die.
We actually, between Black's anger re-exhaustion and my inability to speak super without dying of coughing fits, we might actually be able to keep this under 3 hours. Maybe.
Yeah, we probably will, because I kind of want to save the energy for
next week.
Our predictions, which will be coming up. We will be doing the E3 predictions, because E3 is really right around the corner, super right around the corner. We got 10 days. Well, less than that. We actually only got 8 days, because EA is kicking things off on the 9th with their EA Play, which we just got some more news about that after having Battlefield 5 dropped on us and being told that there's going to be gameplay at EA Play this year for that. We just got a new teaser trailer for Anthem, a much anticipated but rather unknown game that everybody pretty much is saying is going to be their answer to Destiny. They're going to actually have that at EA Play, so a lot of people are excited to see what that is. I kind of am curious myself as to what this is going to be and how it's going to shape up. By the way, some of the things that they do, I made that joke about the Guardians going to the wall earlier, but after looking at their Twitter, I really feel like they're shading Destiny a little bit too much in certain conventions.
I don't know. I feel like maybe, just maybe, it'll be all right. I feel like we haven't heard anything beyond that initial kind of cinematic trailery thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just went on their Twitter really quickly, and I'm like, some of these screenshots, you look more robot-y than Destiny, but you know.
Yeah, it's clear that they're wearing some type of mechanized suits. This isn't who they are.
The giant one in one of these pictures. I could definitely be able to be that would be Titan-esque. That's Hunter-esque. I also like to highlight there's no Warlock here. They're already making good choices. Anthem, you're a good game.
Let's see. We will see. But one thing that kind of bothers me, though, is the name of your characters. We know Destiny has the Guardians, so now they're the freelancers.
I mean, they're all fucking.
Yeah, I know. Science fiction really has a hard time coming up.
It's some explanation for somebody that is entrusted to do a dangerous job. All right, cool.
But freelancers, though.
Yeah. Have you worked on the internet? You know what happens to the IGN freelancers that write an article? Bodied. Massacred.
Well, I guess that's what you're going to do, especially since now you're going to the wall. I don't
Oh, so they also adopted from A Song of Ice and Fire. That's dope.
Yeah, you're going beyond the wall. So yeah, basically, you are the Night's Watch. Like, yeah.
Oh goodness. That's what I love. I love like this idea of just being able to go through stuff like that and just look at it like, hey, you know, that's the life we live now, where the references are so easy to figure out that it's just always something is something else.
Did you? I just need to know if you go up on a like tall like elevator or something.
Nah, there's no way we would. Okay, we're probably gonna do that. That's a no, because remember from the original E3 thing where they had to jump off the wall, and there was like an elevator back up. I'm pretty sure some way to get back up from down below. So yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, in this one GIF, they got the guy jetpacking underwater. So I'm assuming
that's a GIF from the fucking still from that original reveal. In fact, we haven't heard anything. When we get to E3, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this year feels like the year that we finally get answers from like 2 or 3 years ago. Like there's a lot of stuff for the last few years that we've gotten from E3
that we haven't got depth. Like
they're like, hey, this is coming. And they're like, it'll come out 2018, 2017, late 20, and it's like none of that stuff was coming out then. We all knew that.
Yeah. And a lot of people are expecting to see what else other than Anthem, because Anthem is one of those things that they talked about. What was Anthem first announced?
It was right after I think it was 2 years ago, because I would think it was around the time. It was the same year that I think Taken King was announced for Destiny 1, which were coming up on the 2-year anniversary.
So then that would be 2016.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2016. I don't think it was last year, because last year is when they did like
that'll be the 15 or
cell phone game.
Oh my god, that game.
See what else is there? Cell phone game. There was a few different things.
Okay, so if it was around Taken King, that means it was introduced in 2015. Because Taken King came out September 15, 2015. So, whoa.
Yeah, let me look. Anthem game. Because otherwise people will think I'm talking about the... Apparently it was 17? Why does it feel like it was announced?
It does feel like that thing was announced ages
ago. It feels like it was announced like super long ago.
Yeah. Huh.
Two classes of javelins were shown during the Microsoft E3 2017 press conference. There was a teaser. BioWare Edmonton teased the game at E3 2014. And then it was fully shown off. Because remember, there was like whatever BioWare was working on for the longest time. That's why it feels so long ago. Because the first teaser came in 2004. And then we found out what BioWare was working on in 2017.
That's crazy.
And then we're actually going to get to play it in 2008 or 2019.
Yeah, it's supposed to be early 2019. They're targeting. Maybe we'll get a release date at the ePlay.
Hopefully. I think that's going to be the big thing this year. Why this year is going to be kind of crazy. We're already getting into E3 stuff, which was not my intention. But I think this year is going to be crazy because we're going to get a lot of release dates for a lot of things.
Well, no, it's kind of hard to, because a lot of this stuff ties into it, because they made the announcement just to say, hey, we're going to be at E3. Watch. This whole get wall bullshit, which, by the way, if you put out a 5-minute trailer, a 5-second trailer, something's wrong with you.
What company would ever do that?
Like, I feel like that's a waste of fucking...
What company would ever have a live stream for the better part of like a day and a half?
But you put a 5-second trailer to say, watch the next trailer. What the fuck?
Literally show like nothing.
No.
I'm also, I don't know which game you're referencing. I'm referencing the fact that I was a part of the 140,000 people that may or may not have been watching a Bethesda stream for,
Oh yeah, no. It's funny because I forgot about it and I was at work.
Yeah.
And then I saw somebody tweet. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that like bullshit live stream was on. And I turned it on and I just happened to have perfect timing because the first run of this damn trailer came on. And I was like, oh, okay. That's why I tweeted what I said. It's like, okay, Fallout 76. And I turned it off after I noticed they were about to repeat it. I was like, okay. So I didn't waste any time. Sorry.
It was one of those things where I just put it on one of my monitors and it just starts to bug you when you realize you've been on a screen for 12 hours. They like tucked a statue in to go to sleep. And you realize that Bethesda bullshits just as much as they do with their engine.
Yeah. Also, by the way, people, I guess we're rolling into the next story, which is Fallout 76 was officially announced.
You got to get the smooth segues. That's why I was saying I didn't know what game you were referencing.
Well, I was referring to Anthem because if you look at that like mini,
I just assumed that was like a high quality GIF.
No, it's actually a video because I've like got it on and it's like a video that's just on repeat for 6 seconds.
Being honest, I'm not calling that a trailer. That is, you're getting high quality GIF status. Your 6 seconds does not a trailer make. I don't care who you are.
Can you imagine the money it took to edit that? It's supposed to be like, EA, what are you doing?
Although this trailer does not help the references to like the possible Destiny.
No, like I said, like they talk about the threat beyond the wall. That's why I was like, oh, so the Guardians are going now.
Even from a visual, like if you look at the visual, Destiny would use circles instead of triangles. That's the only difference. Like, tell me that does not look like one of the Destiny strikes.
It does.
Like it does. It's like one of the Fallen strikes.
The reference to the wall is Destiny thing because there is a wall in Destiny. It's not like it.
I mean, it looks like Prison of Elders.
Yeah. No.
Oh my
God. That's what I'm saying. It's like y'all are really, really pushing it. Like y'all aren't even shying away from the fact, like, yeah, we're cloning this.
Yo, but EA is all cool. Just send me a copy of the game.
Yeah, I'll be more than glad to test, it for you.
As a seasoned veteran of these games.
And they would be wise to try to do something like that because honestly,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say honestly, if they can grab enough Destiny people to be the give opinions and let them know well, what did you not like about Destiny? What do you like about Destiny? And then go from there.
I will bet 100% like they're gonna have a straight up influencer campaign that's gonna be targeted at Destiny.
I mean, I'm not gonna listen to it because I can give a fuck myself.
Well, no, I mean like bet like there's gonna be a beta for the game.
Yeah.
And they're gonna give like early access to a bunch of content creators.
Yeah, no, like I said, I totally expect that. That's just the norm these days. It's just like it's the way that we do now, which I'm not a fan. As someone who likes making content, I am weird because I am not necessarily a fan of games being promoted with heavy content creator influence, but
I like it.
That's just me. I don't mind you having people who play it.
It depends on the company. Some companies are a lot better about it than others. Some companies really use it as marketing, and other companies usually more like as feedback combined with marketing.
I would just use it as feedback. I honestly, I mean, that's a whole deep topic that I don't know if we should get into with me and content creators, especially after certain things that have happened in recent history when you realize that a lot of these content creators don't seem to understand the position. I really think that we've got to a point where content creators think that they're actually bigger than the medium and that the medium does not thrive or exist without their influence, which I totally don't agree, but
I don't know. I think we've gotten to the point where they are the new games media. Again, you and I could probably do the whole conversation topic on influencer and
why
how
not?
influencers
Because
have.
let's just go ahead and do it. Because
Well, I think we could probably do like a whole 3-hour show. Like, we really wanted to dive into between like the experience on YouTube and Twitch and being around and kind of seeing how the space has grown and changed since we've known each other.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It's very ridiculous to me. I mean, I just feel like they opened a can of worms that they shouldn't have opened, and I don't feel bad for these companies, to be quite honest, but at the same time, I feel like they need to figure out something really, really fast. And yes, I know Eurostrick said he was going to grab some water, but I'm just talking to fill air, so don't mind me. But no, it's a weird position that content creators have now that I think eventually it's going to have to roll back a little bit because the idea that a game's success and popularity is all based or is mostly based on who's playing it on Twitch is ridiculous to me, or who's posting videos on YouTube is ridiculous to me. It's not what makes gaming entertaining to me. It's not what draws me to a game, but I feel like it does a lot of people, and I wish it didn't in a way. Like, I appreciate people watching this show, watching my videos, what have you, but I don't feel like it rests on my shoulders to make sure I give you the gospel, so to speak. And I'll probably end up repeating it when Strix come back a little, and he gets into his points, because I think games existed and became popular and were able to sell before Twitch, and I think they'll do just as well, if not better, without Twitch or without YouTube. I think if anything, content creators set kind of fads, not necessarily trends, or I guess you could call it trends, but I guess it's like if person A and person B and C on a social media hypes it and people like enough people flock to it, everybody else will feel compelled to flock to it. And it's not necessarily because the game is great or because the game is fun or because it's what, everybody should be playing, however we want to look at it. But it's mainly because, one, it's a profitable thing for these creators to do so. And two, why not until the next wave comes in, or to your niche? Like, you can manipulate the narrative way too much. And I don't know. It's a dicey issue, but when Strix comes back, we'll get into that. As far as what we were saying about, gosh, I forget now. We've gone so far on a tangent. I forget exactly what game, because we were talking about Anthem, and then we were talking about, God damn it, my old mind is slipping, people. So apologies, but yeah, the content creating thing is pretty damn wild. I'm curious to see how much of a presence it's going to actually be at E3, because you got a lot of content creators going to E3, and now that it's open to the public, people who want to build their content creating can totally rise up, so to speak, and gain attention by just doing massive E3 content. So yeah, it's pretty. It is, yeah. maybe I'm just being an old man. Maybe it's just me old manning.
But you are an old man.
Yeah, I am. That's what I was saying. Like, I feel like it's gotten too far gone with how much people do it, because a lot of people try to base the popularity or success of a game on what content creators do, and I was like, that's not necessarily what makes a game popular.
In light of, I mean, I think when it comes to the highest tier of content creators, like the names, I think it's very easy to make the statement that yes, they can make a game. But it's this idea that trickles down to, it's the idea like influencers as a position is something that didn't exist in the way it does a few years ago. And I mean, it was a news story. It's been a news story, like the fact that Total Biscuit passed. Like, I think he's somebody you can make a pretty good argument for doing something pretty big, but most people aren't on that level, aren't at that, haven't reached that height of success. To be able to say like, hey, they did something incredibly significant for the culture of gaming in most aspects. And that's a really weird thing to say. It's hard to ever judge cultural impact until after the fact. Like, where are we in like 5 years? Does every game have a content creator team? Does every game have a, like, does every game need it to survive? I think that, I mean, obviously I have a certain level of bias to it, but I think that they are important. But there's definitely a level of like feeling more important than they necessarily are.
Yeah, because I was saying while you were gone, like the whole, like for me, the idea that gaming or games can't be popular or successful without these content creators is something that's growing, and I don't agree with that because it never needed them before, and I don't think it would like fall off without them.
I think the reason that's becoming more true is similar to like now in terms of marketing and in terms of just general business success. While it's possible, not having a website, not having a social media account significantly makes it significantly harder.
And well, so but that's what I'm saying. Like, gaming now has tools where they can create, they can do it just as well as asking the most popular Twitch person to play their game. They don't really need it. Like, there are marketing strategies, and there are ways, and there have always been ways to promote your product and get it out there to the point. It's like,
I think that people look at, I think it's that whole thing, right? Like, the best form of marketing is marketing that doesn't feel like something's being sold to you. And influencers still stand as the best option to do that, because it's still, I'm Joe Blow in his office, in his room, playing a video game, and these are my thoughts. And there are extremes of both sides. There are going to be the people that play it pretty safe with their opinions because they don't want to hurt it, but and like, I feel like it's because there's things like IG and other sources. Most people live in the internet, like the people that live in the internet age, most young people just want to know information about games. And ultimately, like, giving it to somebody that has the audience of in reference to like we're talking about Anthem, letting King Cathalion play your game if he'll play it. It's a smart move. It will dramatically, like, people will go to him because, like, hey, he's been associated with a game that I think is like this game. What are his thoughts? How does he feel? What is its strengths? What is its weaknesses?
But he's a good example of why it's bad too. Because, okay, let's take Destiny 2, because Destiny 2 is a perfect example. Once these people say that they're not into a game, it's not just simply them saying they're not into a game. You saw the about face that went with Destiny 2 with the community in the way that they completely tore at the shreds and pretty much told people don't play this game.
I think the risk is worth the reward, though.
I'm not so sure.
Destiny 1's existence, like not every game is meant to be a streamable. Like the idea of like content creators cannot, or there's not every game does not have a sustainable community of content creators. It might have an online community, a forum or whatever that's considered super relevant, that's considered that's active for the game. But in the case of like content creators, if you're chasing what Warframe has, what Destiny has, if you're chasing what, I mean, you can say Fortnite has, if you're chasing any of those types of successes, you need content creators to reach that level of success.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think you need them.
I think
if there are games that I like that are popular that aren't high stream games, but people consider them unpopular because not everybody's streaming them. Like, you can't tell me Battlefield is not a popular game. That game does not get high stream marks. Nobody plays that game.
Well,
that game has a large gaming community.
I would argue its reveals do. Like, I don't think the game in and of itself.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one thing. Like, of course, you want to use social media in any way to do as much to like promote your game, but I don't think you need content creators to necessarily make your game thrive.
To make it thrive and be successful, you don't. I think that's a fair thing to say. Like, it goes back to when the new reboot of Tomb Raider came out and Square Enix said like however many sales, it was something like 15 million, I don't remember exactly, was like a commercial failure for a completely rebooted IP that nobody was doing anything with anyway. It's true, but I think everybody is always jockeying, especially when it comes to Call of Duty and the Battlefields and stuff like that, are jockeying for podium position. So like you cannot have a Fortnite without Twitch and without like the online presence of the game. It would not be as big as it is. You can't have like Destiny 2's still has a lot of players, but it doesn't have the same presence as Destiny 1 did. And yeah, it's the side effect of you make a product, you think that it's good, you send it off, and you're risking the criticism, but when it pays off, it pays off. Like, it's the idea of I'm trying to think of a game recently that, I mean, Fortnite's the best example. Fortnite is a game that was collectively clowned. 100% collectively clowned. And people were still playing it. It had kind of the smaller community that was slowly growing. I'm trying to remember what actually set it off. Because like a lot of people say, well, Ninja playing with Drake, but the game was already on the upswing before that. Like maybe it was the Twitch Prime thing where you got stuff for Twitch Prime.
You know, honestly, if you ask me what it was personally, I just feel like part of it was not necessarily say like Ninja jumping on it, but because it was coming up before Ninja, in my opinion. It's the fact that PUBG came and introduced this genre that caught fire, the Battle Royale. But a lot of people couldn't get into PUBG because, let's be honest, PUBG is a lot more quote-unquote hardcore. So Epic found a way to make something similar that's not as hard to get into. And word of mouth went around and found out like, yo, this game is still it has challenge, but it's not as hard to adapt to and get into. Those in this weird, quirky element would build it. It's like,
if only that was
to me, true. Fortnite. Well, I mean,
that's a completely different conversation. I could argue all day about why I think Fortnite is a more complex game than PUBG.
No, I'm not saying it's not more complex, but I just feel like it's a lot more.
It's
adaptable. I think
it feels less.
Yeah, it feels less serious, so you don't feel more as much in a more intimidating way.
If a teacher is just asking you questions in class versus a teacher hands you like a test paper to take it, like both can do similar things, but for whatever reason, the test feels more serious.
Yeah. You know, so I think it cultivated a reputation without Twitch being in mind that yeah, this is something that you can probably get with. And word of mouth spread, and it became big. And then you start to see these big Twitch people take the baton from there. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, people say this game is interesting. Well, let me try to stream it. And then they fell in love with it, and that just like skyrocketed. But it was already a booming thing without Twitch. That's why I say I don't feel like.
Yeah, but it's like that idea of like, it is very hard to say because it truly is a success that was stumbled into. Like, again, Fortnite was clowned, 100% clowned. I still remember that whole conversation of Fortnite being completely and utterly clowned when it first was coming out, because they're like, look, Fortnite is now making a battle royale because they can't do blah 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 blah. And it's weird to me to say, like, I feel like it's one of those things, like, you can do it without it, but ultimately it will work to your benefit if you utilize it. I think it's reasonable enough now to say it's just like how YouTubers were 5-10 years ago. You didn't need YouTube to make a successful game, but there are bullshit games that would not exist and find success without YouTube. The I Am Breads, the YouTuber bait games wouldn't, or games that in the case of streaming, open world survival games, which are very heavily relying upon the situations and the stories and the events that happen in real time while playing the game, would not have the same. The conversation and the approach to those games would be very different, even than what they are now. Like, even a game like Skyrim, which is consistently streamed, doesn't have the biggest presence, like on Twitch, but I feel like Twitch has definitely had an effect on its longevity, especially when it comes to Bethesda re-releasing them.
And I don't think so, because I feel like it's just like with Persona or with Yakuza, they're gonna continue to have their community and crowds because people just love that shit.
I feel like, yeah, but those are also franchises that have been long established.
Okay, fair enough, but
it's the idea of, like, in today's age, to make a splash.
But it's like Dark Souls, before Dark Souls became this thing to be huge on Twitch, let's be honest, people were fucking over on that game and on Demon Souls, to be quite honest. Those games were over.
I still remember when Demon Souls was coming out and on G4 on XPlay, which is where I saw Demon Souls for the first time. I was like, yo, that looks really cool. Definitely want to check that out. It was one of those things, like, it was a gem that nobody knew about, but it eventually did blow up. But it wasn't until Dark Souls and kind of mainstream success. Like, I think, like, you don't need it. It's not like you have to do it for you to succeed. Yeah, it's the risk versus reward. Like, you can just not risk it and just make a good ass game and be perfectly content with your game existing out there and just being good, and it will thrive. But like I was saying before, if you are looking for your game to be to get as big of a splash as possible, it's a necessary. I'm not going to use the word evil. A necessary instrument that has to be played, used, and brought to the forefront.
Honestly, I just feel like, Twitch's biggest asset is that while it doesn't make a game successful, it keeps it persistently in the public eye. That's my whole thing. Like Twitch and YouTube, for the most part, it's like
it's relevant.
Call of Duty's going to fucking sell regardless of whether or not y'all influencers think it's trash or not. Let's be honest. It's just like Madden is going to continue to sell because it's a game that's enjoyed by a lot of people, regardless of the opinion of content creators. But part of the persistence in the public eye comes from the fact that there's still people who are still out there putting content out there and making it aware. And to keep even the negative stuff is keeping it in the conscience of a lot of people.
But that's why it's necessary. It's like the marketing.
But I still don't think it's necessary because again, Call of Duty is going to always make $2 billion a year, even without that. Madden is still going to make
I don't. But I think that's where it is. Like it comes down to less about those games because of established brands. It's like the idea of Nintendo could simply come out and say, "Hey, we have a new Nintendo console. Here's a Zelda game."
Exactly. And Nintendo is probably the most perfect example because they hate social media.
That's like they did legwork decades ago to get to that point. It's kind of like they are the exceptions to the rule or the need tend to be people that have established.
But why are they just an exception to the rule? Because again, do you have to?
Like I think in a modern age, if you are a game that's relatively unknown, yeah. In a game that's like relative, a Fortnite, if you drop a Fortnite 5, 10, 15 years ago, I don't think it has the same level of success.
Not with traditional media, is what you're saying, because people can't have to.
Media, yeah, like traditional media was. I think the cadence of the gaming industry as a whole has sped up. Like games have. I mean, shoot, there were times where we were talking about how games have a year lifespan. A lot of games have like a month to 2 month lifespan naturally without like like any type of outside influence. There are people that are going to be two types of people: the people that buy a bunch of games and play them consistently. So it's every month to 2 months you're buying a new game, or the people that buy one maybe every 6 months, maybe a quarter of a year, maybe one a year. Like I'm gonna play this Madden for 4,000 hours because it's the only game I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play this Call of Duty because it's the only game I'm gonna play.
And see, that's why I feel like the perception of influencers doesn't hit hard, because what do most influencers do? They play the same shit for hours and upon hours. Fortnite. We talk about the success of Fortnite, but there are a lot of other games that are selling a lot of money that we know make a lot of money or that have gotten rave reviews that they don't play. Why? Because they're only going to play what makes them money or drives attention to.
I think that has to do more with the business of streaming than that does with the business of gaming.
Yeah, and that's part of why I feel like their influence isn't that impactful, because their behavior, their thoughts, most of them, I mean, it's going to be engineered around what's going to be best for my business.
I think but that also is something that would affect something more people like us. Once you reach a certain level of success, you can revert kind of to the mentality, like not completely, to the mentality of like, what do I want to play? What do I want to check out? What am I interested in? Because at its core, the best content creators are the people that, while they do what they do, while they present the content they present, they also present it in such a way that is like, hey, I'm just still a guy that likes video games, playing games that I enjoy.
Because look at most of the people who are at the top. They're like, seriously, look at the like top people. Again, Ninja is a perfect example.
But Ninja's the exception. I always make the point of
I don't think so, because again, like I could drop a few names. I can drop names like how Disrespect was. I can
like he kept it with battle games, but that's like specialization.
A new game when it first comes out, but he's always playing either H1Z1 or PUBG or something like that. He has his dream game. He has his consistent.
Like that's again,
and that's what I'm saying. Like they're the biggest influencers out there.
But I think that biggest
again, Goth. Destiny is his. He does okay at other things, but you look at him playing Destiny 2 now. He maxes out with Destiny. That's
that's a consumer. Like people associate him with the thing.
Yeah, I know, but why do they associate him with the thing? And he said it himself. He actually set the tone when he said, "I'm a Destiny." He tries to say that now, about him being more variety, but he said part of his intention when he got Destiny was to use this as the game of his stream and dedicate himself to that.
That's what I'm saying. That's a streamer thing. Like the company, every company wants that. There's no reason why, as a company, you wouldn't want somebody to be like, "Hey, I am going to dedicate as much free time as I have to playing, showing off, and talking about your game." Because it's the best type of marketing. It's the best way for somebody to be like, "Hey, why is Ninja getting on and playing 10 to 12 hours a day of the same exact game?" The person that's never doesn't know anything has to be like, yo, that game's probably cool. Game's probably dope. Game's probably up there. Why is it that teams are buying into? Why is it that Epic has dedicated themselves to dropping 100 million out there into the wild? Why is Pro Fortnite even a thing that's been talked about for half a year now, as of the start of 2018, pretty much? Why has that been a thing that has been slowly creeping up higher and higher? Like, there is the clear example, the clear idea that Fortnite could be a game still. All of these games could still be a thing. Specialization will always have a higher high and a lower low. The idea is that, like, as somebody speaking from a streaming perspective that is variety, my numbers are far more consistent across multiple titles than somebody that has specialization. But people that have specialization get higher highs. It's a lot easier when people know what to expect, when people can see what's coming, when any number of kind of truths or like discoverability, it comes down to how online marketing and work. Like, I think the business side and what is the business side for streamers is separate from the business side of companies. You as a streamer choosing to like stream a game every single day for the betterment of their channel, you as a company, all you want to be is be that game. But beyond that, like, you want as many people doing that as humanly possible. You want to be the Fortnites because you want on Twitch right now, there's 18 million people following Fortnite. Not even just watching, just following and following the directory. You want that. Like, you want 18 million eyes on your game. You know
maybe it's just the multiplayer aspect of the thing. That's the only thing I can think, because I honestly don't think that, like, well, I just honestly don't think that most companies as a whole, that's their strategy. I don't think that Sony goes into doing games like they do thinking, how can we get this on Twitch? Whereas, well, yeah, and EA is going to want to put Anthem on Twitch.
I think my thing is, if you are not established, you need it. If it is a new brand, yes, like, it has the weight of EA behind it, but it's still a new IP.
Is that true though?
It has BioWare behind it.
No, I'm just saying, it is necessarily being a new brand. It has to use Twitch, or is it the type of brand that you're trying to sell?
No, I think in a general,
because I don't think just any new game has to have Twitch.
I feel like from a corporate perspective, you want to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, I get that.
And again, it's risking content creators will provide you with a lot more return than not. Like, trying to say play it safe and not have any type of association or use them at all isn't going to yield you the same thing. Like, I mean, you spend $50,000 to possibly have, in the case of Epic, 100, 200, 3,000 times return. If Epic is dropping 100 million in, and Fortnite tournaments are getting, like, for example, TSM, their Fortnite team just got sponsored by Chipotle. Their houses, like the Chipotle TSM house, they have free Chipotle for a year. The only way you bring in that type of money and sponsorships and outside funding comes from something like the visibility of Twitch. And while the company may not always directly want that, you look at people like Blizzard, a long-established company that wants to push things like esports. Sorry. And like their connection of brand and expanding brand. It's all about ultimately expanding your brand no matter how big it is. Like, yes, the smaller brands need it to make a splash. When I could talk to any 8-year-old and probably they know what Fortnite is. That's how you build lifelong customers. Like I always make the joke of I play Epic Games.
Good.
Like I play Epic Games because I fell in love with Gears 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 to 12, something like that. I would have been like in 6th grade. So 6th grade, that's like 12. So yeah, like 12 years ago. That made me trust the company, and I have since watched what they do, and that has also guided my steps. Like the idea is times have changed to where to reach the peak, you need to like to be the game at the top. A Call of Duty without Call of Duty YouTubers, I don't think doesn't look the same, even if you go back 5-10 years.
Yeah, and see, that's why I found it asinine because, again, this is probably me being old man, but we talk about Nintendo. Nintendo didn't get established with all of this stuff. These things got established because people played the games, they liked the games, they told everybody else. It's like Mario became legendary because Mario just for whatever reason became a consensus that this is a good game. They make good games, good Mario games, and this is a cool character, and we love Mario.
But that's something that takes a lot longer to develop than everybody.
It didn't though, and again, this may be me being old man, but I remember when the Nintendo dropped in the United States, and people saw that Mario game, that shit went nuts.
But that's a different time. Like that's a completely different time.
So what you're saying that you don't think people are able to be immersed into gaming like that again? And I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like
my thing is,
how would we still be able to love games without Twitch? Because I feel like a lot of people tend to like use Twitch and YouTube as a metric as why you should love a game, and that's not what it should be.
You can love a game without Twitch, but the gaming industry is not the same or in the place that it currently is without those platforms. Like gaming can still be beloved. Like it's this idea of the same with social media where there's a certain level of interconnectedness that takes subcultures and promotes them to a more general cultural status. And it's tied into the use of social media, the use of connecting us, the use of constant, the use of constantly keeping yourself out there, constantly pushing the dialogue, creating a dialogue. And the gaming space has shifted into a place. Like, I think the idea is gaming a long time ago, no, there wasn't as much money in it. There also wasn't as much money, like, in terms of, like, it wasn't as much industry as it is now. It was more about just, hey, I love this game. But that's the nature of something that grows. Like, as gaming grows, it was going to become more industry. It was going to have this... What's the word I want to use here? It was going to have a situation arise where people would want it to grow bigger. Like, for things to grow to the biggest size humanly possible. Once it happened, because again, it wasn't something that was manufactured. It was natural. It was a natural. It was YouTube was just people talking about something they enjoyed, and it worked. It was a new form of marketing, and that marketing worked, and so people kind of keep with the marketing. And then that marketing has expanded now to Twitch, where you can watch it live rather than the old days of waiting for a newspaper. Like, you should be able to have fun playing a game. But I mean, that's more to me indicative of society. Like, socially, there's a problem when people are gonna say, like, you like your dialogue. Like, I'm trying to think of what is the word I'm looking for, or what are the words? You can't like something without the general consensus. That's society. That is nothing.
And you know what? I know, I understand, and I think that's probably why I don't like my whole take on the influencer thing is that I don't think it's as important. I don't think that companies should continue to make it as important, because that dialogue right there is the problem. Because it generate, again, going back to the whole Destiny 2 thing, it's like once people they begged them to make this game in the way that it came out, and then they realized they didn't want what they want. I think Destiny 2 is a perfect example of you should only listen but so much, because they gave people exactly what they asked for, and then people realized this ain't what I really wanted. And instead of saying, you know what, I asked for this and I just realized I didn't like it, it's like, no, y'all fucked up. It's your fault.
But that's the dialogue. That dialogue has to be pushed by gamers, not like I've had this conversation with you before. I felt like for a very long time the gaming industry as a whole, the industry side of things, babies the hell out of gamers.
Yeah.
And gamers want to be babied. Like gamers want somebody to be like, well, I it's not my fault. I didn't know that I didn't want this thing that I said that I wanted. I'm like, okay, you said that you wanted it. It wasn't what you wanted.
But no, that's part of why I feel like they need to take a step back from how much they allow influencers, because you have to be very, very cautious. I'm not saying that they should not try to make a game that is pleasing to their crowd, their fan base or anything like that. But, with being such a subjective thing, entertainment being as subjective as it is, you seriously need to be cautious with how much you allow, your fan base to influence things. Because,
the conversation we're having right now, I could go into an entire spiel about another epic property, Paragon. The reason, in my opinion, Paragon failed is it was a combination, but the biggest factor was that the community wanted the devs to listen to them. The devs didn't have a defined vision of their own. And what it became was a yelling match where neither side had enough of a way to be like, hey, I don't care about, like, no, this is not what my intentions are. Like, let it fucking go. Like, stop. Don't even, like, just don't. And that dialogue is a problem, but it's ultimately the dialogue that exists now.
Yeah.
Like, where it's the space we're in, and it wasn't because somebody forced us to be in this space, it's because we naturally progressed here. And so the conversation has to be like, hey, game, it's what I said when Destiny 1 came out. Destiny 1 is trash and all sorts of stuff. Bungie was not the people saying that Destiny was going to change video games forever.
Yeah.
And if they were, every game, to those out there that say like Destiny did something wrong, who remembers Peter Molyneux and every time a new Fable game came out? My man was assured that he was making the greatest RPG ever made.
Exactly. It's funny because I just did a video on, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but I did a video on Detroit saying, like, the reason why a lot of people are so down on David Cage's games are because of David Cage. His ass comes out and makes all these crazy, statements about how revolutionary and how important to life and all of this shit. It's like he sells you a whole, story that he's about to change your life with his shit. And I don't know what it is that makes people so gullible.
Well, no, it's because people want, like, I think it's less gullible and like it's appealing to what people want. Everybody would love to just be able to say, hey, this is the last RPG I ever have to buy. This is the perfect game.
And that can't you discover that for your, like,
by, no, like, the reason I say, like, because it comes down to like the limited funds as well, of the way that not everybody can play every single game. You and I've had this conversation where I'm like, you and I are weird because we just, if we bought a game and didn't like it, that's our fault. That's on us. And part of being gamers and just enjoying games is recognizing not every game is going to be great. Not every game is going to be like the best thing ever. It's just, there's a lot of people that don't like people. people don't think about it in the sense of, hey, like I need to ignore marketing. I need to completely block out marketing and just watch a game. I like influencers because ultimately I can mute their fucking stream if it comes down to it and just watch gameplay if I'm interested in the thing. I can just straight up with my own eyes make the guess. It is not until years and years of watching and listening to somebody's opinion that I can get to a point usually where I'm like, all right, I can trust this person's opinion. If somebody's like, yo, this game is blah, 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 I can like believe that what they're saying is like, I'm going to feel a certain way. I was having this conversation today with somebody about Total Biscuit, where one of the reasons I respect TB so heavily is because even on the games that I disagreed with, he presented it as hey, this is what the game does. And so even when he was like, yo, this game is shit because it has blah, blah, blah in it, if I liked blah, 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 I liked the game. It's this idea of like, most people don't look at it that way. Most people are looking more for most people aren't chasing that. They just want to be told what is good. Why do I need to spend every hour of my day in a day where maybe I'm going to school? If you're a kid, I'm going to school. I have 2 extracurriculars. I have homework I have to do. I have chores I have to do. I have to do all this other stuff. It's like this idea of my generation specifically feels like we aren't the people that pick one thing. We want to do 100 things. Even if we don't do all of them as well as we could do one thing, we do 100 things. And so that comes down to us also buying into the conversation, or wanting to buy into the conversation, wanting to buy into what people have to say. Buy into like, yo, if I could save an hour because I don't need to watch like this thing, then I'm going to do it. Unless you truly love the thing in question. And then that's where it becomes this conversation of like, I play games because I love games. If I spend what was it? Fallout 4. I bought Fallout 4 for $60. I played the game for 2 hours and realized, like, before the game came out, I told myself, I'm probably not going to like this. And guess what? 2 hours in, I was like, fuck, this is the same thing that I don't like about Fallout already. And did I get mad at Bethesda for making the game the way they did? For making the game the way a lot of people like? Or somehow betraying my belief that somehow this was going to be a very different game? No, it's on me as a person buying it. It's my money. I had the idea of like it's the games industry to me needs to sometimes look at gamers and be like, hey, look, like, you don't trust a snake. You don't stick your hand you don't let a snake bite your hand or whatever the fuck. There's some saying that's do essentially like, don't think you're going to do something and not get punished for it. Like, don't just take everything at face value, especially when it comes to marketing. Marketing is all about selling people shit. Don't trust a snake or whatever not to bite you. Whatever, a dog.
Yeah, that's why I find it very, very, again, I guess, like you said, we're the people realize that we can get caught sometimes. And like other people, it's just like when I hear Activision talk all the shit that they did about Call of Duty, about like, we're going to do
the best battle royale experience.
Like, I look at another company, like, say, Ubisoft's trailers for Beyond Good and Evil. People are hyping the shit out of that, right?
Yeah.
But Ubisoft is yet to necessarily say anything themselves, really, to like.
No, that my opinion on that has to go down to the Watch Dogs. They've gotten burned really fucking badly already.
But even then, with Watch Dogs, their narrative wasn't necessarily, this is going to be the greatest thing that you're ever going to play.
That's true.
What happens with like some companies, which I find very, very odd when we go this way, like Ubisoft, is their narrative is more built off of how good their trailers look. Yo, that trailer looked amazing.
And
but you're
they let
supposed
media
to
extrapolate and say this is the best looking console game ever. It's going to change how console games.
And who am I to sit here and be like, no, don't say my game is something that you're interested in. I don't want the heat. I want you to look at that, and I want your reaction to hopefully be that. Well, and then hopefully I could deliver.
My opinion is that like a lot of people want to believe devs are more like the dev from like the No Man's Sky devs, which said something that was straight up false in interviews.
Yeah.
But most devs aren't.
No, they don't. They talk about how they like.
It's why I always make the point of it was like, understand what you want to get into. Like, if I read an IGN piece, it's generally because the person writing it, I want to hear their opinion on the thing. I am choosing to seek out the opinion of somebody else. Now, if you're not, but don't let's just let that make your opinion. I mean, like I think we've had that conversation of people just adopt, like we parrot opinions nowadays. We don't think critically and try to create opinions. We just generally parrot it. Rather than, it is far easier for me to be like, let me go. I like Fortnite. Let me type in Google, why is Fortnite good? And somebody else has already done the legwork as to why Fortnite is good. And in turn, I can just then parrot that opinion of somebody else saying why Fortnite is good. I don't have to try to come up with some super well-constructed argument as to why this thing is the thing. I can just make the statement, this is why the thing is the thing. This is why I feel and should feel the way that I do.
Yeah, and like I said, that's part of my whole angst because I feel like people. Well, that's another story, and that's a whole nother social commentary about people lacking the ability to take responsibility for their choices. And I guess I shouldn't blame content creators for taking advantage of people who are willing to draw their own opinions from someone else.
Yeah.
It's man. It's just like it just bugs the hell out of me because you get a lot of like pretension, and I look at the attitudes of some of the content creators when they're talking about things, and just like, yo, who the fuck are you? But it's like, that's just me. Because I'll tell people in a minute, my opinion is my opinion. Don't use it as the gospel of your life, please. Think for yourself.
No, like I tell people, if you want to do that, sure, but don't be mad if you ask me a year from now and I'm like, no, that thing was shit, or no, that thing is good.
Yeah.
Like, people don't get the idea of like, I don't care if you're gonna take your word as opinion, or like if somebody's word is gospel, you have to also recognize that like words can change, feelings can change, opinions can change, and they actually change rather rapidly.
Yes. I agree.
So I would ask to those out there that wonder and want and care, like, do what you believe in. Like, I just stop. It's not anybody else's fault that the thing burned you, but your own. If they lied in marketing, true, but most of them don't lie in marketing. Most of them put out marketing and then you take somebody else's word and try to apply it to them.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I wish that more people realize that. But either here. Speaking of marketing, so I brought up David Cage and his pretentious ass because Detroit Beyond Become Human. I was about to say Beyond Two Souls. God damn it, his naming conventions are just god awful. Heavy Rain is the best name that he's had as far as I'm concerned. Because now he just like Once people said Heavy Rain was a great game, he just got really full of himself with these goddamn names. Goddamn. Detroit Become Human is out. I know you haven't played it, right?
Not yet. I'm supposed
Did
to
you even
start.
play the demo or
No, because the demo is directly ripped from the game.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the game, just to let you know. It literally is the way the game begins. So you're not missing anything by not playing the demo. But I have played it. I'm about 8 hours in, maybe more. I can't count because I know I just keep doing scenarios when I play, and then I realize I need to stop before yeah, I get too deep. But so far I'm enjoying the game a lot. As I said in my impressions video, people, it's a David Cage game. It's a David Cage ass game.
Yeah.
So
if you don't know what that means,
yeah, it's gonna be a game that's gonna have like a very like
David Cage is a batshit insane man when he writes, but he does it can do pretty interesting things from a gameplay perspective.
He generally has a solid story premise that tangents into some weird concepts.
I'm gonna hot take, Black. Hot take really quickly. David Cage is the M. Night Shyamalan of video games.
Yeah, he is. No, he definitely is.
Like, the concept is interesting. The execution is where
the question comes. And for the most part, I think, like, I've only played Heavy Rain to the end, and this is my second David Cage experience. I liked Heavy Rain, but even I can see the flaws and the weirdness of it. I feel like this is a more polished David Cage game, though. Mechanically, it's better. Still got the jank, but he's never going to get away with the jank because he's so caught up in his storytelling that it's hard to not have the jank because his cameras are usually weird and his controls are a little off. Although it's better. I feel like DualShock 4 David Cage game is probably a more like enjoyable experience.
I think how Beyond Two Souls was to play. Yeah, that's. I haven't played it yet. I'm interested. I've heard. Yeah. Again, I keep my ear to the ground just to hear what people have to say. But then again, you know, the ability to.
And like the way I'm going to frame it is going to be like as honest as possible because the things that I think make it the biggest draw is like I think he's well defined. Like, have you played Beyond Two Souls?
Yes.
Did he give you a scenario screen at the end that told you all the different choices that you could have made?
No.
Okay, I feel like this is going to be the biggest draw of this game because at the end of each chapter in this game, you get an end of scenario result screen that shows your path to where you got to the end of the chapter. And it also shows like blocked off the other paths that you can choose. This game actually has a rich amount of choices. There's some chapters where it's just like they just need you to get from point A to B to the story. But even then, they have some slight variance to them, so you can miss things in those direct ones. But there's some that are so complex and they're so wide open that the game experience can be totally different. Because I talked to a friend of mine who's playing it, Cardiac actually is playing it, and we were talking about this one particular scenario, and our paths to the end of that chapter were so fucking completely different, and it didn't even end in the same area. It ended at a different point. So it's not like you necessarily just doing all these different choices to get the same result for the ending.
It sounds like a more extreme version of Until Dawn.
Yeah, I really feel like they stole a lot from that game in that sense because they even took the mechanic where you don't have to necessarily go back and play the whole game to like quote unquote see how things would turn out if you do it different. They have a chapter scene where you can just go to the direct chapter that you want to go take a look at and see how you would fare if you did, X, Y, and Z differently. So yeah, they definitely did take bites from that game. He does some interesting things with the AI, how you interact with the game. when it starts off, I'm just gonna tell you this now so it'll creep you out. You're gonna like do the like usual game settings thing, but it's not like normal. You actually get in AI talking to you, welcoming you to the game, and asking you how you want to set it up. But she finishes the whole setup. It's like, cool, you've done all your settings, you're ready to go. But just remember this: this isn't a game. This is your future. And from that point, she continues to be creepy. As every time you restart the game, she speaks to you. She asks you how you're doing. She hopes your day is well. She realizes what time it is and it's like, oh, you're up late this evening. You want to play now? She fucking freaks me out because I'm like, what are you doing? And there's a survey. I advise you to go to my channel and look at the survey. There's a questions on the survey that drops in out of nowhere when you get to a certain point in the game. I think that they ask you some really, really serious questions and give you the results of the world to compare them against. And it's really, really fascinating. So he's doing a lot of things to try to like immerse you in this whole world.
So game of the year?
No. I would say game of the year.
God of War?
Right now, God of War still is like the game of the year in my mind, out of what I've played. But we still have a lot of 2018 to go. So I'm not sitting here like crowning. I'm not doing the whole like momentary I'm gonna crown you king. Like it's weird that I say this because I recall seeing a comment on that Anthem 5 second thing that this guy said this is going to be the best masterpiece ever, and I was like, y'all need to shut the fuck up and calm down with that shit. But no, right now to me, out of what I played, God of War is definitely on top. But this game, it gets special mention not for game of the year, but for like most compelling thing I've played so far.
I think that's one of those things is like David Cage is somebody I enjoy because of the experience of playing his games.
Yeah. And I can't wait for you to play because having the conversation I had with Cardiac, I want to have that with you. But there's certain things that I noticed I was doing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like it does make you think about things and it makes you wonder what would happen because it's just certain like aspects. Like this one particular scene always stood out to me because it made me think, what if I didn't do what I did? Would it been different? And what I did wasn't even a choice that the game was making me make. You know what I mean? It was a subconscious thing that I did that just happened. And it's little tidbits like that. It's like things, if you interact with certain things, even though the game's not asking you to, they can shape the way different conversations or how people in the world look at your character and things like that without even like making it obvious that this could potentially affect things.
I remember that from the E3 demo that they showed where like people were getting antsy and like there was a legit timer of him trying to save the girl and him being a kind of a dick and like looking at everything and like the way people reacted to him was different from the amount of time he took.
Yeah, but and time definitely affects things too in a lot of areas. How quickly you move things. So sometimes you become conscious of it. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes they actually just literally lay out to you like, yo, you don't do this within such and such. You may. But no, yeah. But there are other times where they don't, but you end up facing consequences anyway. Yeah. So it's cool. It's a cool game. I mean, is it the greatest story told to man? No. Does it have flaws? Yes. But it's compelling enough that it's compelling enough that it keeps you going. Like, again, when you start it, you're probably not going to want to stop until you look at the clock or like something comes up and you have to. And I've heard actually after playing it, like there's been some people who can play it really quickly. They say general time is about 11 hours. I've heard someone who said that because they just made certain decisions. Like certain decisions can cut the time down. Like I feel like my decisions are making my time longer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been, even though when I look at that end of results screen, I barely touched some of the stuff that I could have did. And I have regrets at some of my choices too. The game makes you regret a lot of shit that you, oh my God. It does. It really fucks with you when you like do something. And it's not just the lose character thing. It's just again, it's not just about whether or not you're gonna lose a character or something like that. Your relationships with the world and the people in the world are very heavily affected by your choices. Like you could play the game and for hours, and a character will suddenly mention something that happened 3 hours ago. It's like, oh, I did that. Oh, damn, you still fucked up over that, or you were doing this for me because I did this like thing that I might have thought was nonsensical, but you thought was good enough to where like, yeah, I'm gonna like go all out for you or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things come back. Things definitely do come back around. You do get the sense that like, yeah, the choice thing definitely has a real significant impact. Or at least they give the air. It may not, but they definitely give you the sense that it does. So, no, it's a cool game. It's a cool game, and it's again that end of the scenario thing. I think is the biggest draw because it makes me actually really want to go back and try some different things out in the game, even though the game tells you don't do it until the end. That's another thing. She's bossy as hell. That AI. I went to the chapters thing just to see after I made a mistake. I was like, should I go back and do this again? She was like, no, you should probably finish the game first because that'll make it a lot more better once you get to the end to realize the full scope of your impact, basically. I was like, okay, I'll listen to you.
No, I don't listen.
I probably shouldn't. She's creepy.
I'm gonna laugh when the entire game ends, and it's like you listened to the robot this many times.
Yeah.
You would have given over control to the AI overlords this long ago.
Yeah, like that, like whole fucking surveys, creepy as hell. They ask you, would you have sex with robots and shit like that? It's like, okay.
Yeah, you got that, Black.
And yeah, nah. You can look at the video. You can see all my results. I'll leave a cliffhanger for people if you want to see whether or not I would have a relationship with the android or not.
The answer is yes, chat.
Is it?
Yes. I know you, Black.
Would you have a relationship with an android?
You'll have to watch my playthrough on twitch.tv/restricts to find out.
Promo.
I'm not about to give information out for free. What is this? Nani?
Nah, they're not. Nah. By the way, I need to send you this Buffalo Wild Wings thing. That's crazy.
You don't need to send me.
Yes, you did.
There's a reason why I don't follow them, and people constantly talking about them on Twitter doesn't help. Like, yeah, somebody got into their account and tweeted some reckless shit.
Yeah, but the shit was like, I'm sitting here because I follow them for some weird reason. And all of a sudden I saw the one tweet and that just made me like, wait, what? Well, whoever got into it was really trying to make you be disgusted. Because it was so fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Like when they gave you the quote unquote secret to their sauce, I was like, that was the tweet that started off. And I was like, wait, what?
That's y'all. Like, y'all got that. I don't eat wings. Y'all got that. God. Yeah, that's Twitter's been, yeah.
God. And they got into the E-League, some E-League thing. Well, I guess it was Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings is the E-League sponsor. And they reported on VP Esports with the tweets. They were like, E-League? That's where you know gaming has become big, when the news article says an E-League sponsor Buffalo Wild Wings. You don't reference it just as a restaurant. It's an E-League sponsor.
Yeah,
that's crazy. What else was it that came up? Oh, Assassin's Creed is basically coming out. I guess that fucking Canada Walmart thing is just exposing everything. Because now we have Assassin's Creed teaser out, and they're going to be showing that at E3. It's set in Egypt.
No, Greece.
Is it? No, I thought it was Egypt. It's Greece?
Yes, I believe so.
So they're going back to Europe.
Yeah, okay. So it's called Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
So,
and apparently you kick with the force of Leonidas.
Yeah, it's in ancient Greece.
Yeah, so basically you just Leonidas is reincarnated into what looks like, 14th century, 15th century Greece. And instead of kicking people down holes, he's kicking them off mountains. All right. And again, why do you make a video for 4 seconds? People.
Well, I think I'm all right for some. Like, the more I think about it, I get it because it's straight up just because E3 is in a week. Right? Like, that's the actual thing, is E3's in a week.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies want to get some of the stuff off the list.
I think we're just gonna get a lot more gameplay. Like, people aren't gonna worry about announcing everything. They're gonna be like, look, it was already announced, here's the gameplay for it. And the people that don't check Twitter, you'll be surprised. For those of us that read Twitter, it's like, okay, cool, so this is the gameplay that we're waiting on. Ubisoft doesn't need to worry about. Ubisoft can just be like, hey, Beyond Good and Evil, and then it's like, oh, Assassin's Creed. We know y'all love Bayek. Well, now we're going to ancient Greece, and they're probably doing something dealing with Odysseus and the Odyssey, and how that's going to ultimately be probably one of the pieces of Eden or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but it just looks like it's like in more modern, because it's like they got the Spartan helmet in the logo, but this looks like it's set like, in a more modern Greece.
But we already did. Well, I mean, that's technically Rome. I shouldn't. Historians will get mad at me.
Yeah, with Origins, where you had
was it Origins?
Well, Origins, because you did like
Brotherhood. What was the one that was in Rome? The whole Assassin's Creed the trilogy.
Yeah, no, that was in Italy. Yeah, but at this same time, Origin kind of slightly was, because you had the Roman Empire influence and all that with Cleopatra and Mark Antony and all that.
Yeah, to those out there, have fun. Like,
I mean, I'm a player, so it doesn't matter, because I'm Assassin's Creed free. In fact, I still need to buy Rogue. What
about Syndicate?
Huh? I beat Syndicate. I own it.
Did you beat Unity?
Yeah, I beat you. I beat every Assassin's Creed with the exception of course, the PSP ones.
I'm disappointed.
I never had a PSP.
That's how you can tell you're really dedicated. That's like,
I honestly, and the only reason I haven't beaten it is I never had a PSP. Now, if they bring those to PS4, guaranteed, because remember, I bought a Vita, and one of the reasons I specifically bought a Vita was so that I could play fucking what's his name, Assassin's Creed, which I played and I beat. Yeah, I've beaten everyone except for Rogue in the PSP ones, and I'm gonna beat Rogue because I'm gonna get it now that it's on PS4, because I thought that was such a dick move of Ubisoft to do that when they had that.
I need more companies to follow in Kingdom Hearts' pathway and make you buy like 9 consoles to be able to actually get the full story and understanding of the plot and characters and world that they're building.
Nah, fuck that shit. But yeah, now a lot of people are upset because it took them 2 years to make Origins, and everybody was like, "Good, you're not making a game a year." But this is coming out, it seems, a year later, and now everybody's like, "Boo, you're going back to the old formula." Do you think that's a problem?
I feel like, because what did they specifically say, by the way? They're not releasing Assassin's Creed every year?
No, they never said that. That's the funny thing.
They're not making Assassin's Creed every year, right?
And all they said was that they're not going to make Assassin's Creed this year. and they didn't make it an Assassin's Creed in 2016.
Well, it's not even
brought it
like
out.
it's the misconception that Call of Duties take a year to make, right? It's that same thing of like they have people somewhere working on like they probably were working on this while Origins was coming out. They probably have been planning this out. They know what's going on. I need people to recognize that just because a game comes out the year after another game comes out, it doesn't inherently mean that it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the time, you should be relatively happy that you don't have to wait 5, 10,
Yeah, I mean,
decades.
Ubisoft has 50 studios, and they
That
all know how
number
to
is
make
only
games.
getting bigger, never smaller.
Yeah, like I feel like if I walk across the street, I'll see a Ubisoft studio in my neighborhood. That's how many studios they were always like fucking opening. Like they're ridiculous with their studios. But I never have a problem with you making a game annually. It's all about how much you enjoy it. Now, if you don't think that they were good because of that, that's okay. I mean, generally speaking, their games weren't that great, whether or not they waited a year or two. And this is someone who religiously plays Assassin's Creed. Like you have Origins, you have Syndicate, you have Black Flag.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably their best games. I kind of throw Brotherhood in there because
Unity was the best one.
But it's like, yeah, they're not necessarily the best games in the world.
Origins is really good from what I hear. I own it on PS4, but
Origins is fucking great, yo. Honestly, they just basically took Bayek and turned him into like a godly like assassin. Like it's not even an Assassin's Creed type thing anymore with Bayek. Bayek is just fucking a G. Like the things they do with that man, like yo, Bayek is just a G, and his wife. His wife is awesome too. Like no, they just basically made a non-Assassin's Creed game. They took Assassin's Creed instead of like using all the same trappings, they just opened it up, and it worked. And I feel like that's why they probably feel comfortable doing this because they've opened up the gameplay. The combat is a lot more satisfying. Yeah. It was really, really good. And they made the world more interesting. I mean, it's still the same Assassin's Creed type story, but that's fine. You don't have to play that Assassin's, and I think that's why they're going to get away with this one too, because you don't have to play it as an Assassin's Creed game. You can literally just play it as some open world adventure. Because one of the things I would say the side stories make that game even more fantastic. The shit that you have to do in the side stories, they're not mandatory, but they're fun as fuck.
Oh no, I've watched a lot of Assassin's Creed. What's it called?
Like the story of the guy who got married to a woman when he was drunk. That is the greatest fucking side mission I've ever played in my life.
The story of your life?
Huh?
Is that just the story of your life?
Nah, because
unfortunate things that happen when Mike.
Thankfully, I'm more in control when I have alcohol in me, as opposed to this dude who, man, never did I know that they had a pussy tax. It was wild. It was wild, but no, I'm fine with it. If it's more akin to Origins, I'm with it. I don't care if it's just a year after. I can't stop looking at this trailer, by the way, because
now that kick is powerful.
Yo, the
that
Leonidas
kick is so fucking good.
Like the Leonidas kick. It's like I know it's only 4 seconds, but god damn.
Like the way that my man just crumples and just goes off the side.
Badly.
It is. If you have not seen it, go to the Assassin's Creed Twitter.
Yeah, please.
And why it is such a funny thing.
Yeah, it is. It's fucking amazing. Oh my god. And I would play the game just to do that. Just to find somebody in a mountain and kick the shit out of them.
That's multiplayer. That's the battle royale of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it would be funny if that is. Actually, I wouldn't mind the Assassin's Creed Battle Royale because I actually like Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
I think that would be a lot more interesting.
Just to know that I could stalk your fucking ass. And
I feel like that would be super interesting.
Yeah, it would be. Just to have 100 people stalking each other. You don't have to pick up no weapons or anything like that. You just use the tools.
Well, the thing would be weird because everybody would just get into like the middle of the city and just start stabbing one another.
Nah, I wouldn't. I'm hiding in the rafters. I'm hiding. You're gonna have to find me. And like, you walk by to go stab the other guy, I'll just do the Assassin's Creed thing and like stab you with some poison.
That's why Assassin's Creed multiplayer was dope.
It was.
It was actually interesting and different than just, the same bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it got bad only because people started bullshitting it, but that's most.
What do you mean? The best class in Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
But no, it wasn't that. It was just like they would find like bullshit, like you know what I mean. They find the thing they could exploit because that's what people do with multiplayer. Let's be honest.
I mean, like
most people just use exploits and that's
like,
it.
When something's supposed to be competitive, it can be competitive.
Yeah. No, but I still found it fun, even though people were exploiting certain things, because just the whole makeup of it was really, really cool. Yeah, but yeah, this is me. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't think anything else was dropped this week, was it?
Do you mean talking about news?
Yeah, I feel like this week is
stuff. There's other stuff, but it's one of those things. Like I feel like I already have missed stuff because like I mean I've gotten a few emails about things that are going to be playable at E3.
Yeah, like I forget who posted it, but somebody posted a picture that supposedly is Sony's full E3 rundown and some of the stuff.
I appreciate all of it. Well, apparently it's one of the dudes that one dude on Reddit this week was the dude that specifically leaked the Pokemon Go shit. I think new Pokemon game that was announced this week.
Yeah.
But
I think you're going to see companies do some more next week.
Oh no, I think we're just getting started. There's going to be probably an announcement every single day between now and E3 starting.
Yeah, because they're going to want to get some of this stuff out. Like you said, I think it's going to be more of people not necessarily wanting to hit you with the spectacular trailer. They just want to show you what the game is, to show you gameplay, and then leave it off from there. But I do think you are going to get some surprise spoilers, which we will talk about later because
what spoilers? What spoilers? Hello, Black.
I mean,
I thought you disappeared. I was like, what in the world?
No, I didn't disappear. It's just like I just feel like you're gonna get some stuff that are gonna be sport. They're gonna just hit a lot of stuff. I mean, I can tell you some Star Wars spoilers. I haven't seen it, but I know some stuff. You want to hear? You want to spoil Solo?
I haven't seen the movie yet, so
I could spoil it for you. I've already know who's in it.
Oh, you mean like characters that aren't seen but are in it? No, I'm good. I don't care that much. I know. Sure. I'd probably wait till it comes out.
It's a good one. That's actually a really interesting one. Now, I talked to a friend who saw it twice already.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the nut because he has Movie Pass, so he just uses it.
Yeah, I got to get that.
Yeah,
$10 a month is worth.
Yeah, he uses it because he's like, "Fuck it, I can go see whatever I want." Like, oh, well, I don't blame you. And he told me who's a spoiler character, and I was like, "Yo, how the fuck?" And
does that work?
Huh?
How the fuck does that work?
At first, I was like, "How the fuck does this work?" Then I was reminded of something. It's like, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think they would do that." Yeah, but I'll just not say that. Really quick though, are you excited for more Spider-Man?
What do you mean? The game?
Yes, because that's going to be something. It's funny. I just happened to go across an article that mentioned the Spider-Man game, and that's why I brought that up.
It's weird for me. Like, I'm excited for it. I'm at this very weird place where, like, I think I'm kind of exhausted with excitement, and my disbelief from Kingdom Hearts 3 is bled into like everything. Like, I know I'm excited for stuff, and I want to see what they're gonna show off. But at this point, I just want them to show it. Like, my body is not Reggie. I'm not ready. I mean, yeah.
I just hope they show the Iron Spider, and now that we know, I just really hope they show the Iron Spider.
I want that. I want to see gameplay of that. Obviously, Kingdom Hearts. Well, we're gonna talk about all the stuff that we want to see. But I always tell people, like, there's generally one thing at E3 that I'm looking for. It's I'm down for anything. It's just I just don't personally feel what's the word I want to use here? I don't personally feel like this ridiculous level of excitement anymore. Maybe it's just because
I think it's because we're old and we've gone through this. Like, I think again, this is one of my like problems with content creating, because I feel like it's got, once you start to do it on a media level, like I think me and you sometimes do it, it kind of gets draining because you're more like, I know for me, maybe this is not you, but I know for me, while I'm very curious to see what's going to happen, I'm kind of deflated because I know it's going to be a long fucking day.
I mean, my thing is, like, if I was there, I think I would care more because it's like, oh, I get to play.
I think I would only care more if I went there like once or twice, and I think if I went there every year, I would get that feeling. Like, I would be like,
oh. People are like, but I'm like, E3 is a bucket list thing, and by bucket list, I mean you do it once. You don't, you don't go to every, because like that's the general consensus. Yeah. Going to E3 if you plan to cover it is the worst possible thing.
Yeah, no, because I listened to like Giant Bomb. Like, I was just listening to the latest episode and listening to the voice of Jeff Gerstmann and how he just sounded so defeated. He's like, yeah, I'll probably be leaving in a couple of days to go like help, and you know the trucks are being loaded, and it's like, oh god, like this is
it's like I also feel like I keep myself in check because kind of the Twitter conversation we were having earlier. Like, it looks great. Kingdom Hearts is the prime example. One of my favorite games of all time. People will generally think that, like, oh, you're gonna lose your fucking mind when it comes out, and I'm like, I mean, probably when I have it in my hands. Not before then. Like, I just am not letting myself get to this point of being like, man, I am the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.
Are you gonna cry?
Well, probably when I'm playing the game. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past it.
Please record it because I just need to.
I'm gonna stream the entire thing. Like,
I know you are. But I need to see the tears stream. Like,
that's the other thing. Also, if you don't know, because I think people might take. There are plenty of things of me on the internet crying. Way more than probably should exist, but there's a decent amount of things on the internet of me crying.
Google your crying.
I wonder how many are still, like, it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think a game has ever like made me cry. It's made me want to in certain instances again, but that's like it tends to be an emotional thing, like the Last of Us shit. That shit just like, man, fuck that game for that, doing that shit. But I don't think I've ever cried over a game experience.
I don't know about like because a game came out. Definitely playing games. That's not that difficult.
No, I'm just saying the game experience, period. Like whether it come out, whether I'm playing it and I'm just like getting no, I don't think
I'm just an emotional wreck. I cry over movies. I cry over TV shows. I cry over.
I think my problem is that I don't like to cry, so I tend not to.
My
And it makes me
issue,
seem.
it's not. I'm not. My thing is that like I have this weird thing of like overly empathizing or like comparing situations. Like, oh damn, this really shitty thing happened. Damn, that reminds me of this thing that is only possibly tangentially related in some far off place. It's like, all right, well, cool.
Yeah, no, I won't get emotional. Although, what do I think? What do I think would make me emotional, gaming wise? What is it that I? It's funny because everything that I've like that has gone away,
You get emotional
and I
at the
wish that
last
have
one.
come back, huh? Nah, I'd probably get sick at this one because this one looks like it's gonna like just be bloody. I might get emotional at Detroit because there is some moments in this game where like it definitely has like does stuff where I really like I get like extremely into it and the tension and stuff's like yo I can't let this happen, especially with that little girl, that little
Is
damn
today
girl.
Friday?
Yes, today's Friday,
God.
the first. Yes, but anyway, we're rambling. So I think this is a good time. When do you want to do the spoiler? I mean, not the spoiler cast, the prediction.
That's up to you, sir.
Any day's fine with me. I just need to go over some things to check my predictions. Like, you know,
I actually need to look at what like I need to like jokingly not be 100% serious when it comes to the leak list and actually just think about logically, like look back what's come out, what hasn't come out, and like
yeah, like spoiler. I'll give you a prediction now. Shenmue 3 is going to come out the day after Sony shows the trailer on
it's gonna come out.
yes. They're like, we got it done. We didn't just waste your money. It's
Also, what
done.
was the bet again? I just wanted to reiterate it.
What is the bet?
The Kingdom Hearts bet.
Oh yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy the game for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was.
It had to do with like the release date. I think I said it was going to come out in September or something like that.
I gotta go back and watch.
Yeah,
But yeah, I gotta.
but I said yeah, it said it was going to come out in September or some month. I picked the month that it was going to come out. So, and then I said if it doesn't, then
yeah, because we're great friends.
yeah, no, I'm good with that. Hey, I bought Cardiac Spider-Man. I did because I think I did it because I made mention that I swore it was going to come out on a certain date. He didn't believe me, and it did actually come out around that date that I said they were going to say. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just get it for you because I'm smart because I predicted it, and it's actually coming out on his birthday. Actually, yeah, that's what it was. I think I told him that it was going to come out on his birthday, and it did. That's the release date. I keep on losing. Yeah, it's just like they're just like 30 minutes. Yeah, but anyway. All right, thank you guys for listening, watching, all that good stuff. We will be back soon with our predictions for E3. And then we'll be sitting here on the day of E3, draining our bodies, talking about all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Fun times. Fun times. Any last words before we head out?
Completely unrelated, but go listen to the new Black Thought ninth one.
Oh yes, I have to because I
It
saw
is
that they made
so-
that, and I was just like,
when I
saw that they were doing that, I was like, y'all fucking with me.
Volume
You're
one is
fucking with
Volume
me.
1 is only 17 minutes long. It's only 5 songs. But if it is not 5 songs of just Black Thought being Black Thought, yo, it made today far more bearable compared to the bullshit that is.
You listened to that Kanye, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I literally tweeted out, I'm not listening to it. Okay. I am not supporting the fuckity fuck shit.
Whoop did he do?
Like, I don't care about that. Like, it ultimately came down to me for with the Kanye very briefly. The Kanye issue was I feel like what he did was less trying to push a narrative and actually talk about something and more marketing, which he always does.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to communicate that there is such a thing as going too far. Market how you want to market. Outrage market how you want to outrage market. You say a sentence like slavery was a choice, and I don't give a fuck what you're trying to sell me. I'm not buying your shit.
Poopity doo.
Poopity scoop. In fact, that's even a thing. If you out there writing for Kanye, I hope you're getting paid. I hope you're getting paid real good.
I think that's why Kim is mad at Ron Fest, because she realizes that he needs him and Ron Fest don't want to fuck with him no more. So she's just railing. I'm like, probably don't want to make Ron Fest mad because he's the only reason your husband has any dope lyrics ever. No, Kanye sucks. He's not a good lyricist. He needs Ron Fest.
Say he was. He doesn't need Ron Fest. He can pay.
Yeah, he does.
He can pay Drake.
Nah, he needs something better than Drake.
We're not going to get into the other Drake talk. But yeah, my name is Rory Strix. It's good talking to all y'all. I'm just covering some bullshit. Twitch.tv most nights. I don't know if I'm on every night right now because this my chest and throat is killing me. So yeah, come through though. We play, we talk games. If you're around for E3, I will cover at least one conference. I'll say that.
Okay, you're not gonna go hard.
Every year I say I'm not, like literally last year I said I wasn't going to cover any conference and I ended up covering like 3 of them. So I'm covering at least one. I don't know how many I'm going to cover, definitely.
Nah, I'm going hard. So expect a video for each conference.
Oh, you're not gonna live stream every conference?
Oh no, we're not. We're not doing that. If I were there at E3, maybe.
I don't know if you get into all the conferences. The way lines and shit work there.
Yeah, I know. But that's my dream, to one day get to E3, not just to go, but to get in as media.
Yeah.
That would be very, very cool. So I can actually sit down and have discussions with people. Like ask Kojima, why is he so fucking crazy? And why have you
genius?
Mind fucked people.
That's my thing.
Why have you mind fucked people?
Nah, he's an actual genius, not Kanye. Let me see Kojima's scoopity poop. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
It's called Metal Gear.
Metal Gear is a gift and needs to be protected at all costs.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he's able to do the wackiest shit, but it actually makes sense, as opposed to Kanye, who just does bullshit, and people try to like hide the fact that it's dumb shit with saying, "Well, he's just a genius." Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway,
we're just rambling
about Kanye West. Anyway, so
we're just rambling.
Huh?
We're just rambling at this point.
Yeah, no. So thank you again. Appreciate it. See you for our predictions on the next episode. All right.